Major funding for Odyssey was provided by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Additional funding was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Polaroid Corporation.
The first problem with the unit was the crack above the entrance door here.
And as we were driving out of the showroom, we kept stalling.
A year and a half later, my wife noticed that the inside surface of the upper oven was flaking.
2 to 3 weeks later, after I brought the car, that's when I realized that it was jumping in from park to reverse.
Well, the truck had approximately 1,000 miles on it, and I contacted the dealer, and I told him I had a funny noise in the engine.
2 weeks later, the machine broke down. Then it was the top of the machine, this part of the machine right here.
It was almost accidental. I could never have done this study if I hadn't looked at these complaint letters that had been sent to my brother, Ralph Nader, in Washington. There were letters sent to him directly and letters including enclosing packages of letters sent to other people with their complaints. And he sent me 5,000 letters that we had in this office and began to analyze. These letters are absolutely indispensable in doing an anthropological study in a country of over 210 million people. How are you supposed to find out what people think in a country like this? These are letters written by people with complaints who have had a long period of complaining, and so they tell the whole story.
It's bad enough everybody buys a lemon. Everybody gets stuck with a product that's not satisfactory. We figured, well, we got stuck.
Now they're telling me I brought the car from there, and I'm just stuck with it. I'm stuck with almost a $7,000 car.
She told me that, well, for $8,000, it's just your tough luck.
I thought I bought a vehicle that was going to last a few miles without too much trouble with it, and it spent more time in the garage than some of the old pickups that I had and worked on them myself.
And then there was complete frustration as to how a person like this, I mean, could get away with, in my opinion, was fraud.
There's got to be some justice somewhere. Somebody's just got to see that this man is doing me wrong and make him give me my money back. I don't want no beef.
Our way of life is a consumer way of life. And if, in fact, there are people that aren't getting what they're expecting, that is, if their expectations aren't being met, and they're very angry about it, and they feel that justice isn't operating in this country, and the products are not operating as they were promised, as they've been promised or advertised to operate, this is a very important thing to know. This is at the heart of what makes our 20th century society operate.
How do people solve their everyday problems in a country like ours? Where do people go when a product fails and no one will take responsibility? Laura Nader began asking these questions after studying an entirely different system of justice. In Tulea, the small Mexican village where she did her first field work, Laura saw the ways people handled problems in a culture where everyone knew each other. She has returned there many times, most recently in 1980.
When I first went to Tulea, anthropologists were studying small communities like that because they were worried about their disappearing. But then I came home. It's not surprising that when I came back home that I asked the same kinds of questions that I had asked in Tulea, questions having to do with justice, little injustices, everyday problems, the way people felt about them, and the way the society felt about them. And what was interesting here, what was strange here, is that our society has not paid a lot of attention to little injustices, whereas in Tulea, these were the meat of everyday affairs in the courtroom. And so the questions that followed, one after the other, really came from the direct contrasts and the differences that I found between this little Tulean village and my own country.